Check that out. If you look nicely and close in the mirror, massive nipples. Obviously not quite as impressive as that young lady's in Tekkendama the other day. Must be cold in here. Whew. Anyway, today I've got 3 hours, just packing up because it is my last day in Colombia. So for the last 4 months, there's been a big political protest in the Central Park in Colombia. A load of indigenous people are completely camped out there. It looks like a mini Glastonbury. I don't really know what they're protesting about, but I do know that it's not far from here, and I reckon in 3 hours we can go there, find out what they're talking about, tell the world, because I guarantee nobody else knows that's going on apart from people in Colombia. We've only got 3 hours. I don't know if this is going to be possible. We'll give it a bash. There we go. Told the cleaners, do not molest my room. Don't want them tidying everything up, so I've got to try and work out what I do have and what I don't have before we get out of here. I'm going to miss this place. For the price, I've never had a better value hotel. The staff have been truly fantastic. It's very swish, very classic style. Not the sort of place I'd normally stay, but you know, I can get used to this. The breakfast is absolutely off the charts. Which one are we in today? Aha, here we go. What do you think the worst thing that can happen to an international travelling man of mystery is? I'll tell you, it's when your flies completely break, the zip no longer works, and you've got to go and travel 15 hours back to Europe. Okay, so let's go and see if we can't find our lovely Mr. Manuel. Oh my God, he's already sat there. Yes, he is. I don't have my mask on, he's making me look bad. Oh no. How's it going, man? Okay, we're back with Manuel, the man who's made all of this trip possible. Everything you've seen could not have happened nearly as well without him. We're going to miss him a little bit. Only a little bit. Don't want him to get a swelled head. So, the new Colombian democracy. Has anything changed?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it became more balanced, you could say. So, it was a good change. It was a good change, yeah.
And also maybe I need a cup of coffee. Okay, you know what's really bad? Look, this is quite good because I'm covered. My zip has completely broken.
Oh, it broke.
And I only have one pair of trousers here.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to buy new trousers. I have literally no space in my baggage,
Yeah,
so...
there's no need, I mean.
I'm surviving at the moment on pure nervous energy. I got a good night's sleep last night. I was absolutely spark out. But we got 3 hours, starting with a good cup of coffee, and we get to the indigenous protest in the Central Park. I'm going to go straight to their tribal leader, the big kahuna, whoever's in charge, if it's okay to film and explain their story, find out what his side of it is, find out if he thinks the government are going to do anything about it. If they've been there for 4 months, they're not that fussed about moving them on. Maybe they've got it easier there than they do in the jungles of Colombia or the mountains. I don't exactly know where these guys are from. Manuel's telling me that I shouldn't worry about my zipper so much, but you know, when I'm walking down the street and all the ladies are drawn, obviously naturally, to my crotch, they're going to think I'm coming on to them. Both me and Manuel have no idea what it's going to be like there. I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of big kahuna, you know, the tribal leader, or at least if it's a bunch of different tribes and indigenous peoples from around, there will be a couple of people there who are from the higher level of their society, generally organising and making sure everything roughly runs smooth in the camp. Now I understand these people are quite reserved, which obviously isn't always the best way to go about doing a protest, but at least it's a peaceful one, and we'll see if we can find out exactly why they're protesting, and if we can find a little bit more about their culture. Okay, we're off to go and meet some real indigenous Colombians who've been protesting in Central Park for the past, 4 months now. Can you imagine being at Glastonbury Festival for 4 months? I don't think they have toilets here. I don't know if they've got electricity or running water. It's going to be interesting. Even tourists who come to Colombia are definitely not going to go and check out what's going on in this Central Park. It looks pretty ominous. You definitely don't feel like it's a place you want to get caught up in. Definitely not late at night. I'm sure these people are great though, so let's find out a little bit about them. Manuel's at it again. Oh, we're 5 minutes away, 5 minutes away. 10 minutes later, oh yeah, it's another 2 roads down. Okay, I see. Personal trainer. We've got a little dog being created here. Fantastic. My goodness, what a fantastic talent. We will be back in an hour and see what the progress has been.
Vamos a volver a ver cómo ha avanzado. No, es espectacular, es espectacular.
Hey, super. There's so much talent in Colombia. So many people doing creative things, performing on the streets. You never know what you're going to bump into. Although I still get palpitations when I think about that guy juggling the machetes. Oh my God. Here we go. This is our Central Park in Colombia. the home of the indigenous invasion. I don't actually know if they've taken over so much that people aren't generally walking around, but it really does look like a proper encampment. They've been here 4 months now.
The guy with like the stuff that's the tracking next to the fence.
Yeah.
That's like the indigenous guard, they call it.
Perfect. If we can ask if we can meet the guy who's in charge, basically, and explain we want to tell the story about their protest to the world, and I'm sure he will help us out. Let's ask. Here goes, guys. Buenos días.
Mi amigo es extranjero, yo estoy aquí y pues que quiere saber si puedo hacerles unas preguntas sobre por qué están aquí, de qué es la protesta.
Buenos días.
Entonces él está haciendo unos videos, bueno, él está en Inglaterra, está haciendo unos videos sobre la cultura colombiana y pues cuáles son las causas. Just give us a second.
I'm getting funny smiles from a lovely young indigenous lady there. I don't think she's ever seen white European before. I guess that's the way it goes in some parts of the world. It's kind of strange when you have the University of Colombia's main super swish fancy campus on one side, and on the other you have an encampment of some people who are trying to stand up for their indigenous rights in the country. Our young lady friend has just told us they've actually been here since last October. That's a full 6 months. That's incredible. Okay, we just got led into the compound. It's definitely not Bogota or Colombia anymore. This is the indigenous rules, the indigenous peoples, and we finally got onto the phone to the big chief of the entire operation. And can you tell me what else happened on the phone?
Yeah, for sure. So he will be back like in around half an hour or so. So he told us to wait, and after that we can speak to him personally.
Wow. Holy shit, we've done it again. I can't stress enough, you can't get in there. They have security guards. We had to go through 3 layers of people. We've just seen the inside of the park. It's been completely transformed after they've been here for 6 months. The big chief is coming back in half an hour, and he's going to allow us to speak to him and find out exactly what they're protesting about, how things are going, and what they hope to achieve. And literally, I'm the only European white person who's ever set foot in there, and this is absolutely 100% world exclusive. Wow. And this park stretches back far. They have an entire separate ecosystem in there. It's surprisingly organised. It wasn't stinky, it wasn't smelly, and considering they've been there for 6 months, that's quite an amazing feat.
Resguardo Tamig del Alto Andaguia.
Tamig del Alto Andaguia. So, no, okay, so this is, I thought it was something completely different. They are from the Choco, like the Pacific coast of the country, and they are like victims of the violence. Guerrilla called ELN. It's like taking control of the area, so they are escaping that violence.
They're refugees, kind of.
That's the word. They are refugees. So I think they're expecting for some place where they can live safely.
It seems, guys, we've just found out something new. It's not a protest. These people, the Choco tribe from the Pacific, are victims of a violent group that's been taking over the area. They've been escaping the violence, so they're effectively refugees. And they've camped here in the center of Bogota and really made the entire massive Central Park their own. And they're trying to find somewhere in the country that they can stay and be safe, frankly, because there are still fairly large pockets of violence throughout Colombia. Things are getting better, but the main civil war only ended 5 or 6 years ago. And things haven't changed everywhere. Most of the country is fine, but there are some places that are definitely not safe. And these poor indigenous people are the victims of some pretty severe violence, and that's why they're here in Bogota right now.
A mi papá allá en Resguardo.
Sí.
Allá pasó, está muy complicado todavía.
Okay.
Está enfrentamiento grupo.
La mitad del resguardo vino acá a Bogotá.
Sí.
Okay. So he told me this morning he just spoke to his father. He's there.
Still there, yes.
In Mexico. So he told me they are like resisting the fighting between the guerrilla group and the military forces.
See?
So there are like around 1,000 people there that are like trying to hold to the land. here on the park, they're around the 1500s.
Wow. 1,500 people are here and they've been living here for 6 months. There's still 1,000 people back on the Pacific coast trying to withhold the ELN, trying to hold on to their traditional lands where they must have been living for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years.
Okay, so he's telling me that's been a violent zone from decades,
Wow.
plus 20 years or even more. The situation has really escalated.
Oh wow.
So that's why they came asking to the government to guarantee the safety of their land. So he's telling me, well, the situation here in the park is pretty critical.
Yeah, I understand.
Most of them will eat only 1 meal a day.
Wow.
Or even some days they will not eat at all because they are not like working here whole weekend.
Yeah, I understand.
They are relying on donations
See?
and people that are willing to help them. So the most they can do is like sell the crops they do on the streets, but very few people actually buy from them.
Well, we'll definitely buy a few today, see if we can make a little donation. That's a horrible story, and it really goes and puts into perspective some of the things in Europe that people are worrying about. Personal pronouns, get real.
Resguardo Tamí del Alto Andague.
That's the name of the tribe, of the land where they live on. Y el nombre de la tribu es el mismo.
El pueblo Embarra Catío.
Embarra Catío, that's the name of the tribe.
Aha, Embarra Catío.
Uh-huh.
They don't want to resettle, they want to stay in that area.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, how long has the tribe been in this area?
¿Cuánto tiempo justo ustedes han vivido en ese resguardo en el Chocó? Por cientos de años, ¿verdad? Yeah, they have been living there for centuries. I mean, that's like the home that actually it's probably a sacred place.
And how big are the forces, this ELN group?
ELN.
How many people are in this? Is it a small group with weapons or a big organization?
Let's say they're like almost like FARC. All these guerrilla groups is narco traffic. Sadly, Colombia works by cocaine. So as long as we produce drugs and someone is willing to buy, there will be war. There will be war in the country.
I think unfortunately the view in Europe is, if you can't see the pain and the suffering that your actions are ultimately causing, then it doesn't matter. I'm alright, Jack, but these people are really suffering and they have nowhere else to go.
So actually he told me it's not, about the land is not much about drugs, it's about like taking control of the place.
Having the whole region, yeah?
Exactly. So they have been like in negotiation with the government, but they say like, oh yeah, we are going to help you, blah blah blah, but nothing has happened.
All talk, no action.
Actually, and the violence has been escalating last years.
And so they're trying to survive by making as much money as possible from these absolutely beautiful crafts. We're definitely going to buy some souvenirs, I know. It's almost a shame to only be able to support them in a small way, but maybe by telling their story might change a few attitudes around the world, which would be amazing. These are incredible. So our friend here is William, and apparently he's the brother of the big chief of this encampment, who we're going to meet shortly. So we've been hobnobbing with the top guys straight away, and very soon we're going to go and see the big guy himself and find out exactly where these desperate people are in their fight to save their lands.
Maybe you could say, but the war on drugs is what gives powers to this guerrilla group. If the government takes like a place and they say, okay, we are going to regulate this, it's going to be produced like this, the drugs are going to become a lot cheaper. I mean, if it gets regulated, I mean, I'm not saying drugs are good, but the fight on drugs, it's taking so much blood from innocent people.
And so much money, and it's not going to change. So actually what Manuel just said is something I believe too. There's a small movement within the government saying that cocaine should be legalized. The government spends here about $1 billion on fighting drugs every year. For $600,000, they can buy up all the production of the coca leaf within Colombia. They can regulate it, they can go and take away the violence, go and take away the power that these illegal groups have throughout the land. It seems an extreme step, but the reality is for 40 or 50 years, fighting drugs hasn't changed a thing. And violence is escalating and getting worse, and the problems that drugs cause around the world aren't actually being addressed. When you can control a situation, I mean, many places in Europe, like Portugal and other places, have liberalised and decriminalised drugs, and a lot of the drug-related problems have gone down. doing that in one of the locations in the world that's one of the major producers of illegal drugs in the West, actually legal here bizarrely, could go and fundamentally change the power structures within these countries and allow the entire civilization to start from a base level that doesn't have power in the hands of some of the nastiest people you could ever hope to meet.
So there were people that they were destitute, and from one moment to the other they were rich.
Yeah.
And that changed like the mentality in the country. So it gives us all these guerrilla groups and violent people that try to take, all it does is bring violence. I mean, this is one tribe, but in Colombia we have thousands of, truly thousands of tribes that are being affected. I mean, right now, as we are speaking, this guerrilla group, the ELN, make like, I don't know how to say, like a military takeover in a certain part of the country. Obviously, the military is like pushing, but there are so
if they're not
many.
careful, maybe the equivalent of FARC will come back, and then it could get serious, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
well, it's already serious.
I mean, the ELN, it's almost as old as FARC.
Wow.
And it's almost as strong as FARC. We had like a kind of a peace treaty working out in the previous government. This government is like, no, there are criminals, we are gonna bring the whole military, and that have just escalated the violence. It's an endless cycle. So if you see like the east part of the country, like the pastures, like next to Venezuela and that, that's
the bad area.
Right now, that's pretty violent. It's amazing. I mean, one person that's living here in the city, we don't live it.
Yeah.
We don't live it.
You don't see it, it's not happening, you know?
Exactly, exactly. But if you realize how many people is actually being affected right now, and it's been affected for years, you realize we have never been in peace. And